I sat in an empty room. The window was open, but no air came in. No wind, no sound. Just me, and the silence, into which I once again sank into my eternal thoughts. I don't know where it all started. Maybe at school. Maybe when someone said I was too quiet. Or when I couldn't answer, and remembered that moment as if it had been carved into me with a knife. I just stopped being around people. I was there, nearby. But not with them. I was afraid of phone calls, voices, glances. I was afraid that someone would think something. Or that they wouldn't think anything at all. I was afraid of being invisible. And at the same time, I was afraid of being noticed. And then, one night, I read a post that said, "Do what scares you, 100 days in a row. You won't recognize yourself." Stupid, I thought. But that night I couldn't sleep. The idea stuck in my head like a splinter. That's when I made up my mind. 100 days. Every day, at least one thing. That I don't usually do out of fear. Not to become brave. But to just find out who I am without fear. I went outside and decided, today I'll just say something to the cashier. Not just, thank you, but at least one extra word. My heart was beating as if I were walking to my execution. The line. Sweaty palms. And then it was my turn. "You have, a nice smile," I muttered and immediately looked at the floor. She smiled wider and said, "Thank you," as if it meant nothing. But for me, it was like jumping off a cliff. I went home and sat down on my bed. I was shaking. It wasn't a victory. It was something else. The first cracks in the shell. I didn't set myself any big goals. Just one scary thing a day. Write to someone. Make a phone call. Ask a question. Once, I sat next to someone on the subway, even though there were empty seats around me. Each time, everything inside me tightened up. It was as if my body didn't understand why I was doing this over and over again. As if I was against myself. I began to notice something strange. People aren't as scary as I thought. They aren't always kind. But they aren't monsters either. They just exist. But I still didn't know why I was continuing. On the 37th day, I broke down. I went outside, saw the crowd, and turned back. My hands were shaking. My chest was tightening. The thoughts returned, "What, did you think you could change? You're still the same. You just temporarily lost your mind." I lay on the floor and stared at the ceiling. My brain whispered. "Go back. Let it go. You're not like that. You're just not cut out for socializing." And yet, the next day, I went out again. This time, without a goal. Just to be among people. Somewhere in the middle, I began to realize, I no longer think before I speak. Sometimes I speak, and only then realize that it's me. It was strange. My voice became more confident. My shoulders, straighter. And most importantly, there was less noise in my head. I no longer analyzed every phrase. I didn't calculate what people would think. I didn't play out 1,000 scenarios of rejection. I started to breathe. Truly. Freely. Would you like me to continue with the next chapters right now? There will be a climax, moments of complete loss of the bold self and the realization. I didn't become someone else. I became myself, without fear. I looked in the mirror and didn't see my usual reflection. There was a shadow, an outline, a stranger. "Who are you?" I asked myself. And I couldn't find the answer. It was frightening, to lose myself. But at the same time, it was liberating. I didn't understand what was happening. The social anxiety that I had carried like armor for years suddenly disappeared. But along with it went what I called me. 100 days passed. I stood on the balcony, looked at the city, and felt different. It was as if the world and I were now on the same wavelength. I won't say that the fear is gone forever. It lived inside me, but it no longer controlled me. I learned to face it head-on instead of hiding. I was no longer the boy who was afraid to look people in the eye. I became a person who knows that fear is not a sentence. It's a challenge. I stopped hiding. And maybe that's why I don't recognize myself anymore. If you're afraid too, don't run away. Start doing what scares you. Take small steps. 100 days. 1 step a day. You won't recognize yourself. And that's a good thing.